Hello, and welcome to the Lyman Lipke Guitarcast. I'm your host, Lyman Lipke. It's the Q&A edition, so I'll answer the questions I've received in my Instagram broadcast chat called Practice. If you'd like to get in on the questions, that's where they mostly come from. So find my Instagram page, and then there's a little thing that says, in all caps, Practice. Click on that and join, and then I send out the call to action once a week. Other housekeeping things. Please subscribe to my YouTube. Please follow on Spotify. And bookings available for lessons. Also, my secret clubhouse is opening on July 15th. And we are playing this exercise. This exercise will be in the tabs. So if you want tabs to that, go sign up to my secret clubhouse, and that will be sent your way on July 15th. And if you missed it, I'll have other ways to get every tab exercise that goes out with the secret clubhouse meetings. Probably on Patreon. There will be a archive of them there. So either get it free now or pay later. As for the guitar I've got today, this is a brand new creation of mine. It began its life as an Ibanez Geo, played by a dude in my hometown who gave this guitar to another friend in my hometown. And he sent me this guitar and the Red Lion Stratocaster that has turned into the fretless guitar. He sent me those guitars just because he needed more room at his place. And once I set this guitar up, it is a player. Incredibly low action. Less than a millimeter at the 12th fret. That's low. I only fret out a little bit at the 14th fret, on the wound strings. But I figure if I'm playing the 14th fret on the wound strings, I have made an error in my fingerings. And so this guitar was a player. The pickups that it came with were just terrible. It sounded like I was playing through mud that was mixed with molasses. So I finally did it. I wound my own pickups. This is my first set of humbuckers. Alnico 3 magnets, 7.8K at the neck, 9K at the bridge. The slugs were a little bit too long, so I ended up grinding these down last night. I might do these later, but we'll see. And the coolest thing is I wired in a 5-way switch. 2 humbuckers, 1 volume, 1 tone. What do you need 5 ways for? Position 5 and position 1, those are your humbuckers. Position 2 is screw coil. And it's a little bit lower output than the others. Position 4 is slug coil on the bridge pickup. And position 3 is screw coil plus slug coil in series. So position 5, position 4, position 3, position 2, position 1. And this is going to be the Wild Giants guitar. This is the guitar that I'm going to use with that band. I offered the boys, I offered them both like an opportunity to paint it, and I think Cam is going to paint it to make it more brand consistent. Because I've never been like too much like I don't particularly care about the looks of my guitars, just care about functionality. But it would be nice to have something that's brand consistent. Check out Wild Giants if you haven't already. We just released an album a couple weeks ago. It was a lot of fun, and if you would like to play a game with it, me, Cameron, and Austin all played guitar on the record. And so if you can try to guess twofold, who wrote what guitar part and who played what guitar part, that'd be a fun game. Maybe like we can give something away to the person who gets the most right, like one of our Creed lawsuit T-shirts. That's what we're calling them. Yeah, check out the album. It's called Good Little Boy on Spotify or anywhere else that you listen to music. But this is not going to be a Swiss Army guitar. This is going to be the Wild Giants guitar. However, I do think that it wouldn't be bad for jazz if I play like neck screw coil with a boost or neck humbucker with the tone knob down. Yeah, might make a good jazz guitar. Who knows? But I'm excited to keep up with the pickup journey. I am going to do the same thing with my Jackson 7. 2 new humbuckers, 5-way switch. All right, I think that's everything. Let's get into the questions. We've got 7 of them. And there's actually kind of like a theme with these, which is nice. First question by, what's his name? Kiara the Storyteller. Is transcribing other people's solos the most important to improv? Or, I don't know if he wrote improv or meant to improve. But transcription is the most surefire way in the tradition to get more vocabulary in your solos. However, if you're transcribing, you can't just learn the line. Like, okay, I know this line that happens at this part of this song. You have to study the transcription. You have to look at how that particular melody interacts with what came before it, what came after it, how it interacts with the changes that it's being played over, and if there's anything you can do to transform the line. Usually, like other instrumentalists, they will say, transcribe the lick, play it in all 12 keys. We can do that on the guitar by just shifting up and down. So, if you get a lick from a transcription, play it in all positions, like in all spots, all octaves that are available in like any given position. So, something like this lick, I'm playing in the 4th position of C. You can also put it up the octave in the 4th position of C. If I was to move it to the 5th position, that would be... And I've been posting the videos on Spotify, so if you're listening on Spotify, just pull up the video and you can see the difference between and maybe you'll be able to hear it. I also have this available in the 5th position. In the 6th position, 7th position, it's exactly the same as we played in the 4th position, just shifted down a string set. So learn it in all the positions. And then, are there other spots in the key that I could play this lick? Yes. So if I'm thinking key of C, I'm hearing D minor with a major 7. So I know that natural 9, minor 3rd, natural 9, root, major 7. Where do I have a minor chord that has a natural 9? Where else do I have that? I have that over A minor. So that was linking the same line together over the 2 spots that exists in the key of C. So those are going to be the helpful things for you in transcription. Like not just learning a solo and regurgitating it in one spot, but studying it, seeing how everything interacts with everything else. What somebody is comping over a solo may have an effect on what the soloist plays. So that's also something to listen for. I'm not a big transcriber. That's kind of sacrilegious to say, but I like to find lines to build with like line construction. So that small little line, I moved it throughout the entire scale, diatonically, based on some sort of logic. And you can pick like what sort of logic you want. So this note is not in key, so I just treated that as a half step below that note. And I'm just shifting everything else diatonically. That was incorrect. That would be the line, because I'm going a half step below. So, my transcribing comes from like hearing a little line like that, and seeing how I can move it around, and seeing how I can transform that. We will get back to that because another question has something to do with that. Dave Me Guitar asks how to internalize new lines and language in my playing. Be able to sing it. Boo, 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 boo. If you can sing it, then it's in your ears and in your mind's ear and in your mind brain. So, and I'm no singer. You just heard me sing. I only sing like Randy Newman if I am gonna sing.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars.
Little tangent. I really just did that so I could clip this and post it as a short. How the sausage is made. But I'm not a singer. I'm just trying to get the pitches like close. And if you have a hard time with that, sing into a tuner. Like, get close. That internalizes it into your ear, so you know what the line sounds like. If you can pull it out singing, playing it will be easier. Like singing the melody to Donna Lee. Wildly out of tune, but the melodic contour was there, and like that's a tough thing to try to sing. I once played a gig with a guy who sat in, like he was a singer, like at a jam, and he's like, he just calls Donna Lee, and then scats the melody. Great singer, guy by the name of David Post, and he hooked me up one time, and I got to play upright bass on a gig with John Stowell, who's just a brilliant guitar mind. If you've never checked him out, highly recommend. As far as I'm concerned, one of the premier jazz fretless guitar players in the world. Like, he has a fretless baritone, and like, I think he plays it with flat wounds, which is what most people think fretless guitar is supposed to be played with, which, no wrong answer. I play with rounds because Jocko played his electric bass with round wounds. It brings back a little of the high end that you lose when you lose the frets. It brings back a little bit of the sustain you lose when you lose the frets. The only problem there is, like, you could eat the fingerboard a little bit with the grooves in the round wound strings. I made my own fretless neck, so I don't care. I can't if I eat too far through that fingerboard, I'll just put more glue on it. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on glue. So sing it, like, get it into your ear, mind, and soul. Once you can sing it, like, you've got to play it like 2,000 times. Like, you got to play the small little line 2,000 times. Let's go back to this one. And really test what chords that this could be used over. Do I have my freeze function available? Not on this preset. Let's move to another preset that has the freeze function. There we go. So, D minor. Obviously, sounds like a D minor line. What's the relative of D minor? F major. Works over F major. What else comes out of that key? D minor, F major. Would it work over G minor? Yeah, like, that's a blues note. That's the blue note. I like how that sounds. So if you know how a new line interacts with all sorts of different chords, that will help internalize it. Because you're not just waiting like, okay, I got this sick line over D minor. You're not waiting for a D minor 7 to come around. You've got a line like, okay, I could use this in any of these places. And once it's in your mind, in your hands, and you practiced it enough times over those specific chord sounds, they start to show up. They start to show up whenever you hear those chord sounds. You're not locked in to a certain sound. And that's what I really think, like, internalizing, like, a line means. You can use it in multiple places, in any position, and you're not just waiting for, like, one specific chord, and to be in a specific part of the neck. So, it goes back to being able to play it in all the positions. Repetition. Repetition is huge. Next question. Ray Blakey Guitar asks, explain secondary dominance in relation to reharmonization. So you can reharmonize a tune with secondary dominants. Like, let's take just a simple chord progression. 1, 6, 2, 5. In the key of C. I could put a secondary dominant that resolves to each one of those chords. So, what resolves to A minor? E7. I don't like that E7 because this note is not in the key. However, this note is in the key. What 5-chord secondary dominant resolves to D minor? A7. So, I like that alright, but I like that better, especially resolving to D minor 9. You can also use tritone substitution of these secondary dominants. So tritone substitution of A7 is E flat 7. This note is in the key, so I feel comfortable using that. And since, these are all chords moving in fourths, except one moving to 6. So if this E7 resolved to A minor, which goes to A7, D minor would go to D7 to resolve to G. But again, the tritone substitution. So I can play D minor 9. A flat 13. G7. So we started with this. And we ended with this. Tritone sub there. So that's just one way to use secondary dominants. And what a secondary dominant is, basically, it's a dominant chord that's not built off of the 5th degree of the key. That's all a secondary dominant is, in my brain. And the dominant chord that's not built off of the 5th of the key and is functioning as a 5 chord. But most dominant chords are functioning as a 5 chord. Anytime we have a minor chord, we can go to a dominant chord, a 4th above or a 5th below. And that really nets the same sort of idea. So, say I'm playing C major to E7. So I can precede that with a minor chord a 4th below. I think it's different than what I was just saying. And if that chord is resolving to a minor chord, I'm probably going to make, if the dominant chord is resolving to a minor chord, I'm probably going to make that chord a minor 7 flat 5. And the flip side, so say I have G minor, the 2 of 4 to the 5 of 5, another secondary dominant. I can play, like, say, the end of the second A section of Take the A Train. Where it goes C, G minor 7, C7, F. I could play C major, D minor, G minor, C7. And that's really not like secondary dominant now that I think about it, but if that is I've also got to make a new nut for this guitar, but I traced it last night. It was just late, and I didn't want to get started on another project at 1:30 in the morning. So, new nut is coming. The nut is cut too low on the high E string. Easy fix. This nut really is for a gimbali tuned guitar, but down a fourth. So E, A, D, G, and then instead of these two strings are an octave lower. So it sounds like great for closed voicings, like things that are really hard to play on the guitar become easy with shapes we already know. So secondary dominance, as far as that's concerned, like just put a 5 chord that resolves to the chord that originally it goes to. So if you're like going C major to A minor, C major, put an E7 in between. Make the top note something from the key. This 7 sharp 9, the Jimi Hendrix chord, is great because this G note is in the key of C. But like in my mind, all of that is just 1, 6, 2, 5. With some extra spice. So, if there's a chord that's not the 1 chord, put a 5 chord before it. Boom, instant reharmonization. Next question. Is it okay that whenever I play in groups, I use shell voicings? Yes. Especially if you're playing with another chordal player. If you're playing with a piano player especially, they have a tendency to take a lot of the frequency space. So one way to stay out of their way, with the same, progression. Shell voicings without the root. Because this root can get in the bass player's way. However, you pretend to play the root, just hover over it. Fingerings are a little bit less efficient, but that'll help you keep your bearings. For the audio onlys, I was fingering this chord as if I was playing this note, but just hovering above. You'll stay out of everybody's way, like doing that. It wouldn't be bad to learn some other chords if you are the only chording instrument. That gives you a little bit more freedom. Or if you're playing in a guitar trio, you gotta know more chords than shell voicings. There's only a bass player that's helping out with the harmony. But like knowing shell voicings makes you pretty employable, I would say. So keep at it. Maybe learn some extra chords, but I'm not gonna twist your arm about it. Bass players will love you if you don't play the root, and piano players will love you if you don't play everything else. Next question. How to take a line or lick I've learned and make it sound different. Going back to what we said before, we can move it throughout the diatonic scale. Let's take this line. I can figure out the melodic contour and then apply some logic for the chromaticism. So this is down a sixth with a half step below. Then up a third, and then I use one of my enclosure rules for the chromatic logic right here. So so I can move that throughout the diatonic scale in position. Same lick, but I can play it on any scale degree now. Another thing we can do is alter certain tones. So you think of that as a lick over C major. One nice way to move around and test what you can do with a lick over a major chord is play the parallel minor chord next, which would be C minor, which is this progression, which is 4, minor 4, and then 1. So usually, like, I can take any lick that's moving from major to a parallel minor, put it up 3 frets, and it's going to work just the same. So let's loop that progression. Not tuner, looper. And move that line up 3 frets. Gotta move a little bit faster. Yeah, like maybe give yourself a little bit more time, but that works. Another thing we can do is over a chord that has a major chord that has the major third, so we can lower the minor third. So let me actually give myself a little bit more time. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if only I could play it on the spot. So, look to see where you can move the lick to make it fit over different changes, or alter the lick to use it over different chord qualities. That's a good, like, small tip to get a lot of, like, mileage out of your lines. Also, another small tip, alter the rhythm, like that. Just eighth notes. So I could make it like almost like a 12/8 thing. I can put restants. And see what different spots you can go to after the lick. I can play that after the lick. 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 And then that one lick leads into like 4 or 5 different things that you can do. Next question by Spoonfed. And I am actually about to do a lesson with you. Like, this is 10 minutes before the lesson happens. Any new Gen Tech gear added to your setup, i.e. software, amps, IRs, etc. When I started doing like guitar stuff more regularly, I only used like digital. Like my guitar amp was an amp sort of simulator that I built in FL Studio's Patcher. And what that was like a Fruity Blood overdrive. What it was, just a small little overdrive plugin. And then I had, I built a tone stack essentially. Pre-distortion EQ, post-distortion EQ, and then I made gain and master volume and stuff like that. And I set the Q of the EQ to, move up specific frequencies. And that was my amplifier. That's how I built my tone. And I've been using IRs for a long time. I love IRs. Like, I've got like a bunch of IR captures from the Strymon Big Sky, which is great. So I've always been pretty hip on like new gen tech. It's not until like a few years ago I started like getting like actual like guitar like hardware, like pedals, and like actual big amplifiers. Yeah, like I feel like an IR is just a really complex EQ curve. And so I can edit my IRs if like, I like the general tone, but like I feel like I'm missing like a little bit of high end. I can put it in the Fruity Convolver and just bring the high end up a little bit, bounce that down, and I have the same impulse with the high end just raised a little. Low end, mids. I could cut frequencies I don't like. I'm always looking for different ways to like incorporate new technology. One thing I want to like really incorporate, and tell them like if you want, tell them to sign me to a influencer contract, because I really want one of these things. The Jamstick MIDI guitar. I love MIDI. Like I'm an FL Studio user. I love sound design. So like, but I'm a piss poor keyboard player. Like I'm not very good at, like I understand the piano. Like I just don't want to, learn all the fingerings and learn how to play piano, because I got into the guitar to play the guitar. I didn't get into the guitar to play the piano. I can do all sorts of chords on the guitar. And to have like a guitar be a MIDI controller would be fantastic. And I downloaded their software, and there's a little, since each string has its own individual MIDI pickup, you can tell what fret you're on. So when you play, there's a little diagram of what fret you're playing. So that would like really improve my videos. Just having like a fret diagram added in without having to think about anything else, like not having to do anything extra. So Jamstick, that's the last time I'll say your name until you send me a guitar, and once you do, I will plug the absolute heck out of it. So yes, I love new technology. Last question: what are some reliable sources on transcriptions of solos? Google. Like, there are so many free transcriptions online. I have a suspicion that you're looking for solos with tab. Most reliable source on that is make it yourself. Do your ear. Use your ear. Train your ear. Or, just get really handy with the Google. I did a lot of study on the internet in the late 2000s. All the same information that was available to me was available to all my contemporaries. I just knew how to use Google a little bit better. Like, get hip with the Google and you can find anything. But Googling transcriptions, you should probably learn how to read music pretty well. Because then you're not just relegated to tablature. You can read, like, trumpet transcriptions or saxophone transcriptions. Usually they'll be transposed, like, if, the first chord of Giant Steps on Coltrane's chart would be C sharp major 7. So if you look at it, Coltrane's Giant Steps transcription, in his pitch, like, to get it to concert pitch, you just move the whole thing down 2 frets. You learn the whole transcription in C sharp, you're fine. Like, you're good to go. Like, just move down 2 frets. That's the beauty of the guitar. So learning to read is like, that's gonna be your biggest resource for transcriptions, because that opens up like 95% of all transcriptions for jazz that we don't have access to if we don't read. I'm not the greatest reader in the world, but I can read, and it's something that I'm working on. I'm working on becoming a better sight reader. I can just see something and then play it. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. Like, the AI is getting pretty good. You can take a score and then spit it into like some sort of editor. It'll turn it to MIDI. Take that MIDI, put it in like Power Tab editor, and then edit the tab. A little bit more work for each transcription, but you won't have to learn how to read. So that is my recommendation. Unfortunately, it's not a very good one. Like, learn to read. But again, like, I'm not going to twist your arm. You can be great if you don't read. That's fine. But more information is never harmful, unless it's an info hazard. And I feel like saying the word info hazard is an info hazard. So keep it up, guys. I appreciate you. It has almost been that 10 minutes before Spoonfed is going to join the lesson. And so I've got a dip. Hit me with your questions again next week. Join my secret club. Subscribe on YouTube. Reach out for a lesson. And join my broadcast channel. That's everything. See you next Monday. And a new video tomorrow. Bye!